Okay, good morning, everyone. I know we are running a little late, but this is a topic that you cannot miss. I'll tell you why. Last 2 days, or at least day and a half, we've been telling you why AI is important, what everybody is doing, and I don't think that anybody in this room needs convincing that AI is critical for our future. But one of the most critical aspects of AI, while we are all thinking about technology, the business cases that we need to solve, and all of that, the fuel of AI is data. The problem with data today is, you need to think about availability of the data. Then you need to think about the accessibility of that data. Then you need to think about the privacy of that data. Then you have the government regulations and compliance that are required. And then, most important thing, the ownership of data, because the ownership of data exists everywhere within an organization. So to help us understand better how to think about data, how can you make the AI system work seamlessly, we have two incredible executives here, very business savvy, and I have the honor of knowing them both for over 15 years. Ram, I don't think that most people in this room needs any introduction. He's been one of the GCC leaders who had done incredible things. Technologist at a core, businessman at heart, I guess. So has run large companies like eBay, Yahoo, Microsoft, as well as recently in VMware, and now he's the Executive Vice President at FIS Global. So Ram, welcome.
Thank you.
We have another good friend and technology executive, Raj. Raj has worked with, again, very large companies like PayPal and Visa, and now he has a very interesting company that he's leading called Altimetrik, which is more into intelligent automation, AI-centric services that they are providing to the enterprises. So Raj, welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start with you, Raj, because you serve multiple organizations. How do you see this problem of data in AI? Sorry.
Look, first of all, I have the honor of running a GCC and then taking on something where, and it's services offering back to the GCCs and other technology companies. Look, data is paramount. We cannot separate that out because data is intertwined with everything we do today, right? So, starting from product where the data originates, all the way to outcome, which is from AIs, right? So data, as you exactly mentioned, if we do not focus on the quality, governance, and really the availability, then and everything you do after is a mess. So it's not, data should not be an afterthought. For me, data quality at origination is important, and the data quality and continuous maintenance is important, and how you govern is important too. So governance, and we'll talk, I think, in this conversation, and multiple ways of thinking about it. But at the end of the day, data should not be an obstacle for getting, any scalable AI. So for that, you need to be thinking different ways of, governing it in a way it's more distributed, more domain-oriented, and giving that governance and ownership to the domains and more federated governance. So I'll give you a few examples as we go in this conversation.
No, absolutely. Let's actually stay there because, you talk to many companies, right? How many of them think through this to align with their ambitions? Because it almost feels like people are running through their ambitions of having this AI doing whatever they want to do, but then stumbling upon either putting together the technology together, that seems to be a smaller problem compared to the data. How big of a problem is it, Raj?
Look, I think a lot of what we have seen in practice is sometimes they hone in data as a technology problem. It is not. It starts with the business, right? What is this data and what is the outcome you're trying to get out of this data? So usually what happens, a siloed technology organization going off building and no ding to the technology organization to see how do we build something and how do you bring everything together, building a single source of truth. And then approach also is very important, taking a big bang approach of bringing everything together and the business has to wait until your SSOT is ready for any outcomes. It doesn't work that way. So again, data, AI, anything, it's a team game. If you do not have business at the table, you don't have technology at the table, you don't have compliance at the table, you're losing that game, obviously. So it's the approach you take. You got to be thinking about what outcome are you trying to solve. That's the question. Then do I have right data? Do I have governance? When you know what business outcome you're trying to solve, and then it's on the team to figure out how do you incrementally and iteratively get to that outcome, and what types of sources of data you want to bring to the table, what's the quality of data you're looking at, who governs the data, the rights of use of data, and you need to have all parties involved, and then it becomes easy to get to production or ready, or that's what we're saying, scalable applications could be built when all of them are together. And that's not the case. In majority of the times I see is that people are in isolation taking snapshots of data and building some pilots, and then get a big blocker when they have to go production because nothing is automated. And then the compliance is an afterthought for them. And you got compliance should be built as part of your architecture. It can be afterthought. Regulation is an afterthought. And the breaks come in when you do that, when you're thinking about production. Yeah, pilot looks amazing. You're proving a technology, but not a business problem which you're trying to solve.
That's a great point there, Raj. I think it's very important for us to kind of think about like, okay, proof of concepts, if you look at it, majority of them are very successful with the proof of concepts, especially in the AI world. And when it really deployed, that's when the blocker starts coming. I think it's very important that we all think through that. I think, Ram, you have a very interesting oversight on this, right? You actually run a very large business, and you are serving very large enterprises who are extremely data heavy. Mm-hmm. So tell us about your experience on what has been that you have done to unblock some of these things.
Before that, how many Harry Potter fans do we have in the audience? What? Only so many? Maybe we should go to your kids first. Okay, the reason I bring that up is AI is being treated as that magic wand in the hand of a wizard, which just gets waved around. But people forget that behind that wand, there's an incantation that needs to happen, that somebody needs to know. And there's probably the selection of the right wood that goes into the wand, right? And that is your data. And a lot of times, we look at our public LLM. I think there was a reference to the Perplexity Pro that Airtel launched yesterday. Amazing job. If there's somebody from Airtel here, please take that back to your management. That you've just suddenly made, AI available to a lot of people very quickly. But having said that, the core of this is enterprise data, for at least on the enterprise side. And most companies, if you're a legacy company, if you've been around for a long time, you have pools of data sitting all over the place. I mean, we are a 50-year-old company with over 1,000 products. Every one of them has a data store at the back end, and the data is sitting somewhere. And most of us never thought about this in a continuous way, that we had to bring all the data into one place so that we can actually build models that will power AI in the future. I think that's the first step, is how do we start discovering where this data is sitting? How do we pull it together into a usable form in bringing it back into a new data store? And the investment required to do that. I mean, I think people don't talk about the capital investment that is required to build the new data pipelines and the data storage mechanisms for the future. It is not, for the last 10 years, cloud has been the big thing. Everybody invested behind cloud. But cloud doesn't solve your data problem. Cloud defines your app problem or your middleware problem. So I think the big push right now across enterprises is how do you discover where your data is, bring it together in a common usable form, and then use that to train your data, for your models. Like I said, the thing is, that's one part of the problem. The second part of the problem is these data pools that are sitting in many different places have different levels of ownership. If you're a B2B2C company like we are, a lot of that data is not owned by us. First of all, it's your customer's data. If I am a banking customer, I want to be able to know what my data is being used for. So maybe there's a consent piece required from an end customer's perspective that the bank needs to have.
Who you don't have connect with.
We don't have a connect with them, right? The banks do. We are hosting our solutions for our banking or financial customers. Yeah. They own those customers. There is a level of agreement that is required. Then you overlay the regulator on top of this, depending on which industry you come from, whether it's BFSI or healthcare or any other regulated industry. They put their onuses on it. Then you have sovereign requirements that come in, whether it's in India or US or Europe. Yeah, whatever it is, the sovereign requirements come. You need to make sense of all of this and then say, okay, what can I use this data for and what can I do with it? So it is not a simple exercise of waving a wand. It comes back to understanding all of these in a deep way, pulling the data together, building the right agreements around it, and the capital investment that goes around it, and the OPEX investment that goes around the training. I mean, there's a whole bunch of cost that is going to be involved. It is not a simple game. So if somebody at the top of the house says, wave a wand and make it happen, the question is, what, as people within the organization, what are the areas that you need to understand? And then, and then the other piece to this is the SME knowledge. That's also sitting fragmented within organizations. It's not simple. You need to understand, how do you bring an organization strategy together that brings all of these pieces and then powers AI for the company?
So today, who is doing in your organization, Ram? And what is the best practice to do it?
Yeah, I don't know if we have achieved the best practice yet. I mean, to be honest. Okay. I don't know if any organization has. If somebody claims they have solved the problem, I would love to talk to them, right? What we're trying to do is, in our data and AI group, they are starting to bring together the data pools, starting to build the data management infrastructure that is required, bringing it all together at that level, get the data, get it cleaned up, get the relationships and the agreements in place. That stuff is happening. Yeah. In our other pieces of our organization, whether either the product organizations or in our professional services organizations and so on, and the CX organization, they are trying to say, okay, what use cases do we need to gather so that when we unlock the data, we'll be able to go and power a bunch of things.
No, that's a great point, Ram. Raj, I'm going to ask you.
I want to make it live example. I know nobody solved that, but there are several approaches where we go to our clients that way, right? I could give you one good example of a fashion retailer, a top 3 fashion retailer in the world. The same problem. They want to do design changes in season. In the fashion retail company, any design changes needs to be planned 3 seasons ahead. Yep. So if you have to do design changes in season based on the consumer feedback they're getting, it's a big deal for them. Yep. So the way they looked at it and they were approaching was, I need to have all data, everything in one place. It has to be governed and all of the things you're talking about. But that's one way of solving it, but that's a big bang approach. And that's when we got in there and they're not seeing the needle move. It's been a year, 2 years that they're working. Technology is moving rapidly and they're catching up and they're trying to bring data together. The one way to approach is, there's an approach, there's an architecture, and also how do we bring the outcomes so that the business sees value quickly, right? That's the way we look at it. So what we approach with them is more...
Where was the bottleneck in that?
The bottleneck is taking the whole, boiling the ocean, right? The big bang of bringing everything together. I need to have the consumer feedback so I understand, what the design change. I need the design data. I need to then influence merchandise to figure out what merchandise, and then the supply chain data need to be. That meaning you're talking about a huge retailer, bringing all the data together is a huge problem. So the approach could be different. So that's why I keep talking about approach, is because it has to be thought through. What is the outcome you're trying to solve? What is the business outcome?
Yep.
That's where you start. And it's all not jump in and take an order saying, I'm going to build something. No, absolutely looking at that. Then we come up with what is the outcome and what is the immediate outcome and what are the data sources needed to address that outcome. And bring in that data incrementally and address that outcome and then incrementally build that single source of truth while you're addressing every outcome. So the business sees value immediately. It's no longer that big technology project which is happening in the IT department and the business is getting frustrated, they're not seeing value. So in this case, we brought in the consumer feedback data and quickly understood the sentiment of the customer on a particular product, related back to the design. So what we need now is the fashion data and the design to come together.
How many people internally you had to work with in that enterprise, Raj, to make that ownership come through you?
At the end of the day, we got to start looking at, first of all, we need to get the customer feedback. The customer feedback's all over. It's the website, they're getting customer feedback. They got retail stores, they're getting feedback. So that's a complete parallel work stream here. And then what's going to impact is the design, and the design would impact merchandise. So it'll be 3 departments. What real data sources you need, bring that relevant data sources needed to solve that outcome, but not losing sight of the end of the point of arrival. That's important. I'm not saying just build silos of things. You're building your single source of truth incrementally and bringing in that outcome. And then now you apply AI to that and whatever. So you're production ready. You're not experimenting. You're building an outcome which is production grade. You're thinking about pipelines. You're thinking about data quality. Everything built in. So you're not in this experimentation conundrum that I've proved it here in the boardroom, but I can't take production.
Got it, got it.
Yeah.
So, shifting the gear a little bit, Raj, on that topic though. I mean, like, you recently pulled a coup with a partnership with OpenAI. I don't know how you did it, but somehow you did it, right? And you also have set up a AI labs. What are the biggest problems of data in AI you are trying to solve with these relationships?
See, it was not how I pull it. It was our deep engineering rigor. They looked at it and said, you guys are the partners for us, and we are. So look, from an OpenAI perspective, it's amazing. We just launched our Alta AI lab yesterday. And what we're trying to get there is to provide our customers a lab where they can come in and start experimenting, but without that conundrum of getting stuck in there. So bringing in, OpenAI is just our first partnership. We were working with Anthropic, we were working with Gemini, that's coming up. But what that offers you is models available, and then we provide, either the customer brings in their data, or we also have synthetic data generator for them. So they could experiment with a framework of how we take it to production, with the safety, security, and compliance all built in, so that when we have to go to production, it is ready. And again, thinking about the large language models, we're also thinking about small language models, because at the end of the day, you don't need that generalized large language model like OpenAI, and I think in some of the panel they were talking about multiple versions of it. How do we just distill and pull the knowledge which is needed for that particular domain and offer to our clients so that it's cheaper to retrain, it's easily governed and manageable, the data which is needed for that is really that domain-based data which is required. So that's how we look at it.
You can bring in that framework and accelerators much quicker.
Much quicker.
To your customers and all to the market. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I know we are running out of time, Ram, but a very important question for everybody here, right? In a large enterprise that has a significant capabilities or in India center, how should they think about this problem, Ram? I know they predominantly every technology is getting built or implemented or managed here, but this is a huge problem. Yeah. How should they think about solving this?
Thanks, Vamsee. I think it's a very important question. And the theme of this conference being leadership in AI, I think as a GCC leader, I think about existential crisis. We can either watch a shiny object up in the sky as a dinosaur and watch it coming closer and closer. For those who to connect the dots, that's AI I'm talking about. As a GCC leader, I think the game is over compared to where it was in the past. The game of building a center, hiring a lot of people, getting them to do delivery work. My team really likes the term delivery, which I don't like, because it connotes an order-taking mindset. That game is over. If you're a GCC leader, or if you're a GCC -1 sitting in this room, I would encourage you to read The Paranoid Will Survive by Andrew Grove, because that's the crisis that we are facing at this point in time. The point here is, now having set the doomsday clock set, what can we do about it? One of the things that I think about as a GCC leader, and I encourage my leadership to think about, is what advantages and capabilities have we built over the last X number of years that you've been in this game? And what can we use to unlock for the future? The biggest thing I would imagine is, and this was a resonant theme yesterday, when all the different topics, starting with the morning keynotes, was setting the stage that the subject matter expertise will be a very, very important component of what we have to do in the future as we think about AI and data and everything else. And where does that sit? I can, this is my 5th GCC, and when I look back on that journey, the biggest thing that many of our teams gained over time, even though they may not recognize it as such, is the knowledge that they have gained about the operations of the company in the context of their customers. So let me give you a quick example. One of our teams based in India knows more about electronic benefit transfer in the US states than I would bet the government people in the states actually know. They've been doing this for years. And they're sitting in Chennai. Now, if I go across GCCs, I'm sure we'll find pools of talent, not pools of data. We talked about pools of data. We're going to talk about pools of knowledge that is sitting locked up in the GCCs, if we can unlock that. And I think that was the theme this morning from Nilesh as well.
Absolutely.
How do we do that? I mean, that is not a job that your headquarters is going to do. How do you discover that? How do you bring people together? How do you unlock that knowledge, the SME knowledge that is sitting locked up in the GCCs? to me, is a path forward from the existential crisis. You have to make yourself relevant to the organization and bring that together.
No, absolutely. I think this is a topic with these two people here, I can probably go on for like hours and hours. But unfortunately, not only we are running out of time, but we have an unbelievable panel that's going to come after us. It's going to be like what I said yesterday. Being human is going to be our superpower, and that's what the next panel is going to talk. So we need to kind of have some time before we all break up for lunch. So can't thank you enough, both of you, Ram, Raj, for sharing these insights with us. Really appreciate it. And they are going to be around, so if you have any questions, please reach out to them, because they carry wealth of knowledge on solving real life problems for everyone in this room. So thank you again.
Thank you.